Andrew, you know we have a YouTube channel. We're starting to get comments. We just got a comment from a first-time listener, and he said that we talk too much.
Wow.
So I responded to him, as I appreciate it, because we should value our listeners and their input, and it helps us to get better. And I also added, if you find a podcast that there's no talking, just let me know.
We should just start right now. You ready?
I think he's right. You know what? Let's get started. Welcome to Mostly True Alien Stories.
UFO sightings. Many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects.
In Mexico pulling back the curtain. We need to save ourselves.
This is Mostly True Alien Stories. We're going to dig into the details of some of the most compelling alien encounters ever reported and figure out if they're solid, sketchy, or somewhere in between. I'm Neal here with the lovely Andrew Triana. What's up, buddy?
Hi, Neal. What's happening this morning?
Today's story takes us to Wales in 1977 to a place that's become known as the Broadhaven Triangle. It starts with a group of school children. They reported a UFO in broad daylight, and then things escalated. Military sightings, there's mysterious figures, there's claims of underground bases, and by the end of the year, it's not just a one-off, it's a full-blown pattern. And as always, I'll walk through the case of exactly as it was reported, and then Andrew and I will break it down, and we'll try to figure out whether this one belongs in the mostly true category. And we want you guys, our listeners, to let us know where you think it lands in the comments. Subscribe if you're not already, and thanks for being here. Let's get going. Before we get into what was happening in Wales back in 1977, Andrew's got the latest headlines in alien news. Andrew, what do you have for us today?
What news I have has to do with William Shatner. William Shatner says that in the late 60s, he was driving through the desert in California, motorcycling with his friends. He got separated from the group, so he's lost in the desert, alone. He starts freaking out. He starts looking around, seeing if he can see anybody, and it's just pitch black. He gets back on his bike, and he just starts driving. And he said, all of a sudden, a floating sphere appeared over his shoulder.
What?
And it communicated to him telepathically and guided his motorcycle back to where his friends were.
That's the craziest story ever. A sphere guides him back to his friends.
Telepathically, communicating to him in his head, like turn right, turn left, turn left, turn right. Keep going.
I have questions about all of it.
He didn't say whether it was a UFO or not. He just said that this happened to him. And here's the best part of this, dude. Had that not happened, we wouldn't have Star Trek. He would have died in the desert.
So he feels like he would have died if he couldn't find his friends in the desert because he's on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
He couldn't drive out of the desert. He just couldn't find his friends.
He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't have GPS back in the 60s.
How did everybody else in his group know where to go?
They knew where they were going. He didn't.
This sounds very LSD related to me. I think that I don't know that you get out into the desert with a group of friends. Somehow you get separate. You're all on motorcycles. It's not like you're walking. You get separated from each other on motorcycles. He thinks he's going to die if not for this golden sphere that leads him back, left, right, back to his friends.
I believe him. And LSD is not big for the desert, dude. It's mushrooms.
Well, you know what I mean. It's some sort of
drug. You're going to say that
psychedelic.
Bill was on a drug? Is that what you're going to say?
Oh, he's in the 60s.
Dude, come on. He's starting his career. Like, this is a huge part for him to be Kurt.
You think that this story is more interesting because of his connection to Star Trek?
Star Trek, yeah. I think that's what it's all connected to.
I mean, yes, he's a definite icon in the franchise for sure.
I want to say I'm thankful to that golden sphere, whatever it was. Yeah. Whether it was an alien or, a flare that they shot up for him, something. Whatever it was, it guided him home.
Well, very good. All right, what else you got?
Okay, let's get serious. Although that wasn't serious enough because I love Kurt. The UAP Disclosure Advocates are calling for transparency on these drones.
I thought we were already doing that.
Yeah, but they're like taking it more serious now. This just happened on March 31st.
Okay, and it's April 10th as of this recording.
Closed doors, of course, because everything has to be closed doors. It can't be an open door hearing. Because then I guess it's not a hearing if it's open doored.
We're only going to disclose it to a secret group of people.
Yes. So Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon returned to Hill last week for closed door discussions with several lawmakers. So they're actually, they're like pushing this to really get it. The purpose of this whole thing was there's two parts to it, right? So one was to offer assistance in helping them find information they're looking for, right?
Okay.
And he says this, he goes, I think increased transparency on the UAP topic that is often misunderstood and not very well appreciated. And we are now seeing that drone incidents are becoming more frequent. I mean, I could agree with that. They're seeing drones, well, they're seeing UAPs or UFOs over all different states and stuff all the time, and nobody's really talking about it.
Yeah, well, they are talking about. Well, the right people aren't talking about it, or
Right.
they are having these discussions. But I don't know what forced drone transparency is going to reveal. It's not alien. It's not alien. It's definitely government. It's some sort of government or some high tech business that provides high tech kind of drones, and they're testing shit out.
There's the theory that the aliens have been here, right, for over 80 years, and we're working with them. We're using their technology. So maybe these drones are their technology.
If that is the case, they would test over, densely populated cities and
Right.
and towns and things like that. They can go out into the desert with William Shatner and test that stuff.
Wow.
Maybe that's what was happening with William Shatner. Maybe they were testing something in the desert, and then the drone's like, "Hey,
you know what? I bet it was the
Bill's
first
lost.
GPS.
These drones are they're not alien. They're not alien."
Okay, so what they're trying to say is this. They're admitting that some of these are drones, but they're saying that some of these are not drones. And that's what they're trying to get them to answer. Which ones are drones, and which
Fair.
ones are not.
Fair
That's
enough.
the whole purpose of this, right?
Fair
So
enough.
they're having military flights, those are drones. They're not having military flights, then what are they?
What are they? Right. Sure. And what are we going to do about it?
Again, we've talked about this before. They're having another hearing, right, behind closed doors, and they're talking about it. Is anything going to come from this? Probably not. So far, nothing has come from it.
I think something does come from it. I think this is a positive. They have to keep having these meetings in order to get full disclosure. So they're going to just keep pushing. And I think it's good. They have to keep them on their toes, or the government or whoever, and just say to them, yeah, eventually you got to tell us something. We have to start doing. So I think every meeting they have is a positive in the right direction. So
Okay.
All right, what else you got?
I got Skywatcher video of summoned UFOs.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is blowing up all over the place, summoning the UFOs.
Skywatcher has been able to summon through electronic signals.
That's what Jake Barber.
Yeah, Jake Barber. But
Yeah.
it's being investigated by Ross Coulthart.
Okay.
He says the organization founded by the UFO whistleblower, Jake Barber, who we know, claims to have been to at least partly replicate the process it believes the U.S. government has used to attract non-human technology to Earth. So what he's saying is that our government is doing this, and Skywatcher is detected it.
And wait, for our listeners, Jake Barber has put out a video on the summoning of these UFOs, and it shows several lights appearing after he chants and he signals with a flashlight. So the whole theory behind this is that they're using these like psionic energy currents that every time they do, it's like a dog whistle. That's how it's explained, like a dog whistle. When they blow this dog whistle, and they're not blowing a dog whistle, they're using these psionic energy pulses. And they said every time they do that, they're summoning these UFOs to appear.
And according to Barber, it worked 100% of the time.
And they showed a video of it. They have many videos of it. And the video that they showed, of course, is not high def. It's not, it's grainy. It's all of these things. In my opinion, listen, if it is true and it does work all the time, I don't think that these are manned UFOs. I don't think these are alien driven UFOs. I think this is more of an energy pulse reaction. I think it may be something almost like unmanned sort of UFOs or energy creations not related, because I can't understand. I don't think if it's an alien driven craft and aliens in it, they don't respond. They're not going to respond like dogs coming to a sound. There's no, they know enough. I think that it's causing, I think what we're playing with here is some sort of energy movement phenomenon that they're at a frequency that is resonating with whatever's happening up in the universe or in the atmosphere, and it's creating these light changes. So that can be pretty badass if that's the case. I think that's a step towards being able to the whole, crazy woo-woo conversation about how the pyramids were made. by lifting and moving things, using energy frequencies that resonate with objects, et cetera, et cetera. This might be that energy frequency that's resonating with light stuff in the sky.
This is my thought on the whole thing. He's using this electronic magnetic signal thing, right, to summon the UFOs.
Yeah.
Can we all just start a Kickstarter or a My page or something for this guy to get him a good camera so he can actually video to show us something instead of just everything that's
wrong.
I mean, come on, dude. Seriously?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that you have this ability by using a flashlight, and then I flash the flashlight and I put the ear tuner against the flashlight, and that summons the aliens. And then I'm going to pull out my 8mm camera from 1968 that I borrowed from Will Shatner, and I'm going to video these. Come on. No.
It really does beckon the whole, David Blaine sort of things.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
going to
like
wave my
illusions.
hands and blow
Yeah.
a whistle and look to the sky. You're going to see a ship appear.
I have all this money to put out all this publicity, but I don't have enough. I didn't save enough for a camera.
I'm not going to weigh in either way yet. I don't think he's ready to really announce this.
And it's so weird that it's Skywatcher, so close to Skywalker.
Yeah, they love really confusing all of us with Skywatcher, Skinwalker, Skinwalker Ranch. They got a fucking enough with that, guys. Enough with Skywatcher, Skywalker, skin watching.
But the first thing I thought of when I heard about this, when they were like, it's like an electronic dog whistle, I thought of the original Superman movie with Chris Reeves, when Lex Luthor is communicating to him and all the dogs are like, and they're like, Superman, only you can hear my voice. I've planted a bomb. It's so cool. That's cool, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's sending to the aliens, but yet he doesn't have a camera to make a good shot.
Is that all we got?
No. Listeners, MUFON is seeking volunteer resumes from members and field investigators, preferably those that have experience in Perl language, Python language, WordPress, Google Map building, AWS, Amazon Cloud backup, AI expertise, and security upgrade for maintenance experience.
Mutual UFO Network listeners is been one of the probably oldest investigators of alien reports and UFOs and incidences like this, and I think that they're probably starting to age out. Problem with MUFON for me, and it's interesting that they're putting this out, that they're bringing in people.
They are actively seeking.
Right, but it's a volunteer organization, and I think the problem that you run into with this is, there's no money. It's all supported by donations. I think that the problem with MUFON is, in order to become very legitimate, and they've been legitimate, I'm not saying they're not, but they definitely have a volunteer vibe to it. I don't think you're attracting the most sane people in the alien world.
Yeah, I just find it fascinating that they want to be taken so seriously, but nobody gets paid.
You know what? We should apply for MUFON. We should actually apply, see what comes of it. I think that'd be interesting. Great story to tell. All right. So is that all you got?
That's all I got, man.
All right. Well, let's get into today's main story. And the way this works, everyone, is simple. I'll tell the full account of a reported alien encounter. We'll stick to what was documented. And then Andrew and I are going to talk it through and give it our take. Is it mostly true or not quite? Listeners, we want you to be a part of that conversation too. So make sure you leave a comment, follow the show, subscribe, and if you like what we're doing, pass it along. So here's the story, everyone. It is the Broadhaven Triangle. Let me set it up for you. The village of Broadhaven, it's nestled along the scenic western coast of Pembrokeshire, Wales. It's the kind of place you'd expect to find peace and quiet. And in 1977, when this story happened or was reported, it was a sleepy seaside hamlet where the biggest excitement was spotting a seal out in the bay or hearing a tractor rolling down a farm road. It is February 4th, 1977. It was a Friday afternoon just after lunch at the Broadhaven Primary School, and the kids were out playing in the yard when several of them noticed something strange beyond the hedgerow bordering the playground. It was a shimmering silver object, partially hidden behind the trees in a field adjacent to the school. Then they saw something move. A figure around 7 feet tall is what they reported. It was clad in what appeared to be a silver suit, helmeted, moving stiffly near the object. And the children stared. They were frozen. Some ran to tell the teachers, who initially dismissed the report as imagination, of course.
Get out of here, you stupid kids.
Exactly. And they smacked them with a ruler and sent them back out of the
It's
playground.
1977. Of course they did.
Yeah, I could hit them with anything then. But the kids were so worked up, so utterly convinced of what they had seen, that the headmaster, Ralph Llewellyn, took the rare step of separating the children and asking each to draw what they had seen. What he got, according to the report, was chilling. Almost every drawing showed the same thing: a domed silver craft, a tall metallic figure beside it, all drawn from different perspectives and all nearly identical. These weren't just kids playing pretend, they were actually terrified. So now word starts to spread quickly, and within days, new reports emerge from other villagers. A local hotelier, Rosina Williams, she claimed that she had seen a saucer-shaped craft land in a nearby field, and a being emerged from it. Farmers around the area reported cattle behaving erratically. They were bolting for no reasons. They were forming these tight circles in the fields. And then others saw unexplainable lights in the skies over the Preseli Hills. And it wasn't long before the area earned a nickname in the press as the Broadhaven Triangle. That's where the name came from.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the reports got so numerous that and so detailed that even the Ministry of Defense, MOD, had to step in. Raft Brody, a nearby Royal Air Force base, they sent personnel to investigate. So now that's good. So the Air Force is involved, and the MOD sent an investigator. So the Ministry of Defense sends their investigator. The Royal Air Force Base sends their investigator, but only after public pressure mounted. They weren't going to send anybody. Their approach was standard: low-profile visits, a few quiet interviews, and vague assurances. One particularly high-profile visit came from a Royal Air Force officer, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Friend, who was dispatched to gather information. Friend, he was known from his prior work with Project Blue Book, so in the U.S. So he worked with Project Blue Book.
Right.
Later, he remarked that the Broadhaven case ticked too many boxes to be dismissed outright. Still, when the Ministry of Defense released a public statement, it said there was no evidence of any threat to national security. But the villagers weren't convinced. To them, it felt like a dismissal, a classic government brush off.
Yeah, they do that all the time. It's like, no, you didn't see anything. Nothing to see here. Like the whole Jedi mind trick.
We don't care that 400,000 people just saw everything and all witnessed this, and things are happening to cows, and school children are drawing the identical pictures.
Look over there. Hey, hi.
So just when things seemed to be dying down, the most disturbing incident yet occurred. A local family, the Coombs, living in the village of Ripperston, claimed their entire household experienced a sustained period of high strangeness. This is in April 1977. This is when things start to escalate.
So it was like 2 months later. This was February 4th was the initial thing
that
everybody saw. And they probably sent the investigators, I'm going to guess probably in March.
What they said happened: they saw bright lights flying silently over their farmhouse. Electrical appliances were switching on and off without warning. Family car would start itself with no one inside it.
Holy shit, that's a self-starting car. They just not till now. That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah. And then on one occasion, they claimed to have been followed by a tall, silver-suited figure while driving home at night. And the mother, Pauline Coombs, she described the figure as having no visible face, and he moved in a robotic, jerking fashion, eerily similar to what the children described months earlier.
So the thing was chasing them in their car?
Seemed to have been following them. It doesn't say chasing, but following them. So,
but
I don't
following
know.
them close enough to where she could say it had no face.
That's right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't find details exactly of was it riding along? Was it floating? Was it, whatever?
I bet it was on a bike.
It might have been on a bike it stole from the neighbor. Yeah. Anyway,
we cannot go faster. I need to go faster.
What is this bike bullshit? So the Coombs case got enough attention that local police got involved, and even they admitted they had no rational explanation. But I'm wondering, what? I mean, it's just hearsay at this point. I mean, they're not showing much proof that this family is just kind of. Anyway, we'll get into that. All right. So the press swarmed to the village, understandably. The BBC, Welsh newspapers, and even international outlets came to Broadhaven. They were looking for the truth or a punchline. Some of the children were interviewed on national television. They stuck to their stories. But with the media frenzy came, of course, mockery. Cartoonists lampooned the kids. Radio personalities joked about Welsh aliens on holiday. And still, Yeah. Still, despite the pressure, none of the key witnesses ever retracted their stories. Although this
Right.
was the problem in the 70s. You know, when people came forward to say that they saw aliens and stuff, this is what happens to them. They just got fucking ridiculed because no
Well, I mean, it
one.
still happens. It still happens today,
Yeah, but
right?
not as much. I
Not
mean,
as
people
much,
are
right?
more forthcoming with all of this. And again, it's a different mindset now. Now we're hoping we have these interactions. Back then, they were just afraid of it. In the 70s. So it's funny the evolution of UFO sightings. All right. So here are the theories. So first, some psychologists claimed it was a classic case of suggestion. So like a mass
Uh,
hallucination, particularly
mass
among the
hysteria,
school
right?
children. Yeah, mass
Mass
hysteria.
hysteria, yeah.
Yeah. One child saw something, the others followed, but this still didn't explain like the identical drawings done in isolation. Or the adult witnesses, including military personnel who reported sightings in the same time frame.
Yeah.
Another theory was that others suspected clandestine operations by the Royal Air Force, Brody, or the U.S. Navy, both of which had operations in the region. Could they have been testing, advanced aircraft or surveillance drones? Was the silver humanoid a person in a flight suit accidentally spotted by civilians? It could have been
Right.
that. That's a second theory. Third theory is that, of course, that it was actually a genuine extraterrestrial event. So a series of UFO landings, physical encounters with unknown entities, and a government cover-up to protect the truth. Here's where it stands today. So there were no arrests, no definitive investigations, and there were no conclusions. The children, who are mostly, they're all adults now. They have spoken out in interviews in recent years. A few maintain that what they say was exactly what they said back then.
Right.
Others have just simply gone quiet about it. Maud's files on the Broadhaven sightings were eventually declassified, but they offered no new insights. So just more vague statements and
Yeah.
bureaucratic language. And the silver-suited beings, well, they were never seen again. There were no reports of them ever again. Now, Andrew, I'm going to hand this off to you. That's the story as I have it in the report. Why don't I hand it off to you and have you weigh in on whether you think this is a mostly true alien story or not?
I found this fascinating. I dug into this a little bit. You spoke about military people seeing stuff, right? And they reported it. They reported lights. They saw lights in the sky. They don't really know what it was, but they saw stuff they had. Here we go. Stuff they had never seen before. You know, that's always my favorite aspect of all this stuff. And I guess it would be, I've never seen this before. Is there another way to say that? I don't think there is, really, when you think about it.
No.
I think back of what happened at the aerial school
In Africa, when it was
right.
all the kids out in the playground and they
Said
saw
that the
these
thing
two
landed,
beings and a
right.
ship landing, and there's
Yeah, I mean, it has
your drawing, Terry. Okay.
it echoes the same type of thing because it began with school kids, but the beings did not speak to these kids. They didn't say anything. They just saw them, and I guess they got back in their ship and flew away.
The kids may have exited immediately. Like when
Yeah,
see
they were
one
like,
kids run, they all ran and then went
Right.
inside, and then
Right.
then it's gone. Right.
Was it the same day that the hotel person saw it, or was it the next day?
Yes.
Do you know?
No, it was the same day that was reported. So
So
that's what they were
February
doing. They're
4th.
tying it all in together. That this all happened at the
Happened
same
at the
day.
same time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go with that. It was for sure February 4th, the same day that the school kids saw it,
Right.
the hotel person saw it, and that's that. All right.
Yeah.
Then other lights were seen, right? I think that it took a while for the Royal Air Force to come and for the defense people to come. I think because they all had to get together to get their story straight.
But you also may have had like the school reports it, and then it's in the newspaper, and then the hoteliers goes, "Well, I saw something too." After she reads this, and then he calls the police. And so it's all probably staggered sort of reporting.
With this one, I struggled with it because I'm looking at everything from the aspect of all that's reported. The Coombs family, I don't know if that's. I didn't find that as a credible part of this story. I don't know what they were talking about. They could have had an electrical surge in their house that caused everything to start and stop. They saw lights in the sky, right? She's saying that the figure followed them, not the ship. The figure followed them. None of the other reports prior said anything about the figure following them. They talked about the figure coming out of the ship, right? They saw a ship and they saw the figure. They didn't say that the figure approached them or did any threatening thing. I think that the Coombs family made this up. I don't think it's part of the original story. I think they made that up.
You think they jumped on the bandwagon just
Yeah.
to jump
Oh
on the
yeah,
bandwagon?
for publicity or whatever. It didn't make any sense. And their kids were kind of quiet during the interview, where it was the parents mostly talking about it, and the mom was like the main person talking about it in the whole story. So
Lonely housewife, maybe, and she was just sort of like,
looking for love. I'm looking for the Silver Man. You put an ad in the paper then, looking for Silver Man that'll follow me anywhere.
Silver Man.
Oh, Silver Man.
So let's just get the Coombs out of the way. Let's take that story out of the way. Now
taking it out of the way. Now I'm focusing on the kids. I'm focusing on the hotel person.
Yep.
I'm focusing on the fact that it took a week or so for Royal Air Force to get out there and for the Department of Defense. I honestly think that it was not an alien by any nature. I think that they were experimenting something. Okay. I think that they were trying something. I think that this suit was possibly a new sort of pilot suit. I think that the guys landed not expecting to see anybody, or forgot that the school was there, or maybe his radar went out or something and got out and was like, oh shit, I'm at a school. They see me. What do I do? I mean, it doesn't even talk like he waved or nothing. He was just there outside the ship. I think those kids did see something.
Just government related.
Just government bullshit.
Okay. All right, very good. You say it's not a mostly true alien story, but it's government related. I like that, lay-in. All right, let me weigh in now. I agree with you with the Coombs thing. I think that's just bullshit. They jumped on the bandwagon. So I am going to eliminate them from this consideration. I don't think that's anything that has bearing on this story. My theory is always this. When you have a group of kids, and like you said, you related it to the Ariel school incident that we did talk about in an episode. When the kids are involved, especially a group of kids, and with the drawings, I don't want to forget the drawings because they were isolated. They all drew the same thing. So we don't know what their influence was. We don't know if there was something being talked about in school at that time or whatever it may be. But let's just forget that. That wasn't part of the report. Let's just say this. They were isolated. Right, they drew these images. To me, that makes me feel like this is something that went on. Now, if we lean into your theory of government involvement, did the government get lost? Let's go test this shit over by the schoolyard or in the middle of town. Why would we do that? So for me, I'm not buying that, and I don't know that area. Obviously, I don't know the area. I know it was near the water or whatever, but I just don't think that the government would be sending these military operations into a populated area where families and kids and towns are and all this stuff. I just think that that's
maybe
not
it was
the
a
case.
mistake. Maybe something went wrong. That's what I think.
I mean, then the military sucks. Then they're stupid. Then they're fucking idiots. I mean, working, they put that shit out. They get lost. Oh, shit. God damn it, we're in the middle of somebody's town. How'd this happen?
Why are you're supposed to be British, not
all right, what are we doing here? In the middle of Broadhaven. Oh, let me get my metal helmet off for a second, look around. Oh, the school children over there. Don't shoot. Don't shoot, there's children. Yeah, no, I just don't think that that's military operation. So for me, this is an easy one. This is because there was other reports. It was multiple. I'm forgetting the Coombs, but what was the incidents that were being reported? The kids involved. For me, this is a mostly true alien story. I think this happened. I don't think it was investigated properly. And I also think, though, when the military was back in 77 were blowing it off like that, or just, gave the typical answer, that means that they knew something was up. So I think that I don't think it was military related. I just think that they knew that this was an alien story, a true reporting of an alien story. So I'm saying this is a mostly true alien story. Andrew, you are saying it is not.
Come on, seriously? You can think that this is an alien thing? Come on. Then what was the message? What did they do? What was the purpose? They weren't even friendly. Man, they didn't even wave.
Have you not learned anything doing this podcast? We cannot figure out why aliens do what they do. Why are they showing up in the middle of the woods to grab an elk hunter? Why would they go and to two dudes fishing, in the middle of Mississippi? Why do they do it? I don't know. And the fact that they were there in Broadhaven at a schoolyard and they didn't leave a message, who knows? I always go back to the fact that they're a very poorly run organization of aliens. They don't have a business plan in place. They just don't have it. All right, so that's the Broadhaven Triangle. It's a schoolyard sighting that kicks off months of strange reports. And even now, people in that part of Wales still talk about it. All right, so let us know what you guys think. Was this a real sighting, mass hysteria, or something stranger? Comments are open, and we read them all, and we appreciate them. So make sure you follow the show, subscribe, wherever you're listening, and we'll be back next week with another story that's been floating just outside the realm of explanation. All right, folks. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
UFO sightings. Many Americans have wondered about dangers of unknown objects.
Scientists in Mexico pulling back the curtain.